Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Bishop.
Present.
Mrs. Congdon.
Present.
Mr. Jovan.
Present.
Mr. Lazo.
Present.
Dr. Page.
Present.
Ms. Peliquin.
Present.
6 present.
We have a quorum. Moving on, let's see, welcome. I'd like to welcome everybody to Robert G. McKinney Council Chambers, Tuesday, January 26, 2016, 7 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, Paige, get on the stick. Yeah, right. At this time, we're moving on to agenda item number 3, public input. Would anybody like to address the former school committee? If none, moving on to approval of minutes. We will not be approving the minutes tonight because we're not allowed to. Chairperson's announcements. Well, I'd just like to apologize to the public for the camera difficulties and the delay tonight. We have some technical problems. Just to inform the public, we have been taken over by receivership. For starters, we had a public meeting last night. Before the public meeting, we met with the commissioner. And in talking with the commissioner, trying to understand where do we go from here, they had their meeting today, and they voted us level 5, chronically underperforming. So the state has taken over. Temporarily, I guess, the superintendent, Tim Connors, will be running the day-to-day until they get a full-time receiver. I don't know if there's anything else on that subject. We lose, the school committee and the superintendent basically lose their powers of decision-making as a school committee. It's basically just an informational committee. We're going to rename ourselves Public Relations of the school system. But that's it. I mean, it's a black eye on Southbridge, 200th anniversary or birthday, and we're in receivership. Not good, but some people actually think it's good, so let's work it out. I mean, if we're really all about the kids, let's go to work with this. I don't know what our role is really going to be outside if I don't have any kids in the system, and I don't normally go in buildings, but we will do whatever we have to do to try and straighten it out. I don't think everything in the Southbridge school system is broke. I think we have a lot of issues in our special ed department. I personally think that in listening to the complaints last night of citizens, I was stunned how many problems we have in the special ed area, and I didn't see any regular ed people coming forward saying that things were terrible. But, you know, that's the way it is, and I think we're going to have to deal with the issues. Well, excuse me, we don't have to deal with those issues. The commissioner will. That's it for Chairman's announcements. It was a pleasure serving on a school committee. I'm going to serve in whatever capacity I'm supposed to. I'm not quite sure. It'll be, as I spoke earlier this year, the journey of turning the district around. We could have turned the district around. It's kind of ironic. They tell us appoint a superintendent, so we have a search. And then once we're done with the search, they take us over so we don't do the search. They move up the chess match with the vote this morning, which stops us from appointing a superintendent. So let the games begin, and we will do whatever we have to do for the kids because that's our priority. And that's it in a nutshell. So let's move forward with presentations. Do we have any presentations? No presentations. Moving on to reports. School committee reports, negotiations.
No report.
Negotiations, policy.
No report.
Budget and finance.
There was a meeting held on January 19th, 2016 at 6 o'clock. And due to the events of today, there's no report on that and no future meeting scheduled.
Superintendent search.
No report.
I would just like to thank Ms. Condon on the fine search all the way up to the 3 candidates, and it's unfortunate what happened, but it is what it is. But I'd like to thank all the people that served on the search committee for the time that they did and the visits, Mr. Bishop and Dr. Page, you know, going down and visiting, doing the site visits and all the stuff that we did. I feel like it was a waste of time, but that's what they chose to do. Moving on to student representative of the school committee, Diego Arroyo. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
So seniors in the Interact Rotary Club are being honored tonight at the Cohasset Country Club. Student Council is working on Winter Carnival and other events. There will be a semi-formal dance they are hosting February 6th, 7 to 10. Activities will be further planned. National Honor Society raised $1,335 at the senior auction. National Honor Society is doing a Stop Hunger Now event April 15, 2016. We need to raise like $3,000 to package 10,000 meals. Donations can be made online through Mr. Moderosian's class webpage on the school website. Every little thing helps, yeah?
Moving on to Finance Director. Joe?
I have just a short report for you. One of the members had asked for an update on our legal expenses, on unemployment expenses, so I did run off a spreadsheet for the committee, so you have the answers to that this evening as well. The good news is that on both those counts, we're well within the budget. The projected forecast for the unemployment, based on where we are right now, is that we'll be in well under budget on that as well. And that spreadsheet's on the back of the page that I just handed out. I did want to just acknowledge one more. We did have a check that was a donation made. We can't accept it this evening, but it was from the Power family to Southbridge Middle High School, and we will have that approved and we will accept that donation, but we did want to thank them and let the family and the people that had brought their donation forward know that we're very grateful for it. We're working on getting the award that's associated with it together, and that we're going to move forward with that, and we'll be filling you in at another meeting.
Any questions for the business manager? If not, moving on to Superintendent Tim Connors.
Yeah, Superintendent, just a report on last evening, as the chairman noted, that we had a public hearing and many people spoke. And today I went into Boston along with Mr. Bishop was there and some other members of the community. And I think it's important that we share with you that the Board of Education reflected on last evening. They were impressed about the people coming together to speak. They heard people say that they were opposed to the takeover because they thought that they could do things here in town, but if the state thought that they could help, they were open to that. They had others bring their personal concerns, but all along across the board, I think they appreciated what they had to say. The commissioner reiterated what he had said before, that the primary reason that he saw was in terms of the frequent changes of superintendents and high school principal, the concerns over our language learners, and also some of the social and emotional issues that we face in the schools. The board had said that they don't regularly vote this quick. They wait until they have a receiver. I was going to say retriever, but a receiver, and then they move forward. But he felt it was important that they act. The school committee, all but one of the members, the labor representative, did not vote. But he said the reason he wasn't voting is because the teachers here in this community said that if the commissioner were to take over, that they were here to work with him. As we heard our chairman say, for all of us here in the school committee, myself and everybody, there are many things we think we could have done. I think we're in a great place where we are now, but going forward, we're here to work with anyone that's going to help to maximize our children's ability to learn. So the board voted to take over. The commissioner asked that I serve as the daily administrator in the school district. They expect to have an organization or a person in place as the receiver by mid-February. And at that point, they would come to the community, get a group of stakeholders to work with them to do the takeover plan. During that time, I would continue to provide the day-to-day leadership and working with them. The one thing that I think everybody should know, and the school committee as well, the superintendent is, the commissioner has indicated that he would be coming out to town probably before the end of the week. I know that some of his staff are going to come out and speak to me and the central leadership tomorrow, and then there'll be an arrangement to speak with ourselves and our principals, and if it can be arranged, I think the commissioner plans on coming out here before the week is over, and he may also come back on Monday evening to host a meeting with parents in case anybody, or the community, if anybody has any concerns about the process. So I just thought I'd share that, so because I think it's important we keep the school committee informed of what's going on. Although, as you pointed out, the school committee won't be making decisions on some things, that the school committee will continue to meet, and some of those meetings may be called by the chair, they may be called by the commissioner, and that's so that the school committee, who by law is still in existence, is made aware of what's going on and can share their opinions on things that the commissioner and others might be deciding to do. So I just share that with you as we go forward, and when I know what the commissioner's schedule is for this week, I'll make sure that you and the people in the community are aware of it.
Any questions of the superintendent? If none, moving on to school committee actions, there will be none. Moving on to agenda item 6, there will be no appointment with the 3 finalists of superintendent. Moving on to unfinished business.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Are we going to notify these candidates of what's taking place? Have they been notified? Are we going to notify them? I mean,
Yes, we're going to notify them. They have already, they know, but we'll notify them formally.
I think we should certainly notify them formally.
Moving on to unfinished business.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would like to reiterate what Mr. Bishop said. I would also ask that we thank them for continuing to participate in the process, knowing that the school district had the potential for receivership and that they continued to stay in the process to be part of the change that we had looked forward to. So I would like that reiterated in the letter if possible.
Any other discussion under agenda item number 6? If not, moving on to unfinished business. Any discussion on the unfinished business? If none, moving on to new business. I don't know why we're going to have a meeting. We're not going to do anything, but it's up to the school committee. If the next regularly scheduled school committee meeting date will be held Tuesday, February 9th, 2016, 7 p.m. in the council chambers.
May I ask a question on that?
Yep.
Are we bound by charter to hold 2 school committee meetings a month? Is it in the charter? I believe all you charterites out there.
Yes. No. The charter.
I thought the charter said 2 for 10 months and 1 for. Would you check that? Well, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
It is in the charter that we do meet bi-monthly, and during the summer, 1 meeting a month. And yes, it is in the charter. Unless they've changed it, we'll check it. Anything else on the new business? If not, members forum. Mr. Bishop?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week, we did meet with the Budget Subcommittee, and I asked Mr. Latoya, our Finance Director, to give us an update on our legal expenditures this year, as well as our unemployment expenditures this year. When I ran for office, I was appalled at how much money the district was spending on both of these needless groups. Those are funds that could directly go into education of our students. I'm pleased to see where we are today. Last year, for legal expenses, they expended $237,000. This year to date, and I don't know that we'll spend much more, we've expended $36,000. That's a $200,000 savings that goes directly for textbooks and other education, and perhaps some ELL teachers that are so desperately needed, as we heard last night, and special education services. Also for our unemployment, 2 years ago, it was $300,000. Last year, it went down to 136. This year, we're running to 84. I don't believe any of this $84,000 has been encumbered since July 1. These expenses are a direct expense of what took place in the prior school years. That was one of my commitments when I ran for office, and I want the voters who voted for me to know that we have really turned the corner on those needless expenses. Last night, I was deeply moved by the comments of so many parents. Some of them were just so disturbing, but at the school committee level, we don't know what's going on a day-to-day basis, and I'm not trying to deflect blame or anything. To any parent, whether we are still the full body or not, this podium will be open every other Tuesday night for anybody who's having issues that want to share. Although we don't have any direct input, we can certainly help anybody with their problems that they're having. The special education problems I heard about last night are alarming, to say the least. We have a director of pupil personnel services, and we have a special ed supervisor. That's an awful lot of manpower for that department at the top. These students are fully entitled and deserve better than what I listened to last night. This morning I traveled to Boston, to Roxbury Community College, to the Reggie Lewis Center for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education meeting. I was very impressed with the discussion that each of the voting members gave as the rationale for their vote. They were coherent, they were thoughtful, and I appreciate that. I want to thank all of those people on that board. I don't know if they're paid or not, but I know they're certainly all very busy people, and they did what they believe to be in the best interest of our students. As far as me leaving the board, I have no intention of leaving the board. I was elected by the voters, and I have 2.5 more years to serve, and I will continue to serve. I'm not quitting. I'm not moving out of town. I'm not going to hide. I will be here to work with whomever is governing our schools for the best interest of our students. Thank you.
Any other discussion by any other committee members? Amelia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't able to attend the meeting last night due to a very sick child at home, but I had a couple of things that I'd like to share as a parent and someone who's an active volunteer in the classroom. I feel like I personally am in a good place to advocate for my own children, but I try not to talk about what's going on with my own kids publicly because my family has entitled to their privacy. But I have a child who has an IEP, and it took me over a year to get him on an IEP. And I'm from a well-educated, two-parent family, and my full-time job was trying to get my son the services he needed. And I'm one of the most privileged people living in Southbridge. I know that. And it took me a year to get my son counseling. My son is occasionally suicidal. He's 5 years old. And I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry right now, but there's just been so much time that the school has not been there for me as a parent, even as a school committee member. I volunteer for my daughter's classroom twice a week. And last Wednesday, there were 2 kids tearing apart her classroom, like destroying the classroom, and she called the office for help, and nobody came. Nobody came to help my daughter's teacher, and her safety was at issue. So I know it's unpopular to say, but I think we need every single hand on deck we can have, because our children are not getting what they need. And I knew that a lot of parents would be coming in with a lot of concerns on Monday night, and I spoke to as many people as possible about going to this meeting because we need to be heard. I don't know how to explain to you, like, the depth of need in this community. There are kids whose parents are on drugs. There are homeless kids here. We need wraparound services. I think we should have a homeless shelter for students in the school district. We need to do more for the kids who are left living in poverty, living in this landfill community. We are not looking out for their health. They need help in terms of their safety. And if the commissioner is willing to take on this fight with us, then I welcome it. I really do. But as an elected official, I just want to say I don't know how we are going to build an effective local governance of our school district without getting more people involved in the political process in Southbridge. I don't know why parents aren't coming to our meetings. I don't know why they're not speaking. I don't know why they're not registering to vote. I don't know if they feel like they can't participate for some reason, but we need to work on not only getting parents involved in their children's educations, but getting involved in the political process, because I don't think that parents have been heard in terms of what's going on in education in Southbridge for a really long time. And I think we have a lot of work to do. Thank you. That's all for me tonight.
Any other committee members? Jill?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank the public for allowing me to serve on the committee. It obviously hasn't been easy in my almost 3-year term. A lot of my time, I feel, has been wasted in not directly benefiting the students as a school committee member, because a lot of the time our hands have been tied, or my hands have been tied as an elected official. In saying that, I just wanted to thank everybody who supported me. I hope at this point in time, everyone in the community can pull together to support the students of our community. I asked the commissioner yesterday, I happened to be part of that meeting with Mr. Lazo and Dr. Page, about communication. I didn't feel that the commissioner had effectively communicated to me as a board member, and I wanted communication to be the key when that receivership took place. He stated that there would be a weekly communication with the public and a weekly report. I also hope that Southbridge can soon provide a stable environment with rigorous learning where all of our students can have college and career readiness, and the safety of our students of our community comes out on top. Right now, I think a lot of the time, safety is an issue. I've been advocating for the safety of the students in the school for most of my time on school committee, and I think I relayed that as well to the commissioner yesterday, that one of the top priorities should be the safety of our students. So I just wanted to thank everybody in the community for allowing me to serve. If we're just going to get together to meet for nothing, I'm not going to continue to waste my time, but I will advocate for the students of our community in any way that I can. Thank you.
Anybody else at this time, members? Dr. Page?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to also thank the Southbridge community who elected me to this position nearly 18 months ago. At that time, I really felt like things were in a position where we could, as a governing board with the authority that a school committee does have, would be able to enact policies and write the budget, restructure the financial system in such a way that we're able to efficiently deliver the services to the students as they need. What I've become aware of is that the needs, I think, from my perspective, sitting on this board, the needs of our students on many levels has not risen to the level of full attention to where we could make effective action as a community. Me as a board, in getting all of the information necessary to make the recommendations to the town council of the funds we need or how we need to allocate them and how we need to spend them. I also was very alarmed by some of the people coming forward last night and over the last school committee meeting to tell us things that we have no idea that's going on. The school committee, just so people are aware, and we have very limited authority, very limited things that we can do. We appoint a superintendent, we enact and manage the budget, and we set policy. And that is the end of our authority. And we rely on superintendents, people within the community who elected us to be here, and rely on people within the school community through the channels through superintendent to inform us of the needs and the problems. And one thing I can tell you from where I've been sitting for the past year and a half, a lot of issues have not been effectively communicated to this board to a level where action was even possible to be taken. So, given that, in some respects, I welcome this receivership as an opportunity for an independent individual or an organization to come in here and really be able to ferret out the full details of the nature and the depth of the problems that we have in this system, and to put us on a track allocating the resources that are needed in order to meet the educational needs of all the students. And this goes through the entire gamut, college-bound, all the way down to people that want to go and do other types of careers. We need to be servicing the entire student population for this town to succeed and to make our schools great again. So I just really wanted to say in closing that I will remain in this position throughout the duration of my term. I will work with the receiver, the Commissioner of Education, with Mr. Connors on an interim basis in whatever capacity possible. Any thing that I can do to help, I'm here to do that, and that's my commitment as a member of this board. I'll stop there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jovan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Truly is a sad day as a school committee member to see the extent that the state has taken to put the system into receivership. With that, I want to just say that we are at a crossroads in this community. I don't want to keep going back to the past, and I want to work toward the future, because I have always tried to advocate for every child in this district. The bottom line is that the school district needs leadership. The town of Southbridge needs leadership, and strong leadership. To the residents of Southbridge, a receiver is not going to be the magic person or organization that is going to come in to change the district, and tomorrow morning all is well. We're on a long-term plan to try to turn things around. If you take an honest look at plans that were made by Lawrence, by Holyoke, in their turnaround plans, they are no different, and I will venture to say the town of Southbridge's turnaround plans, if you were to take a look at those turnaround plans that we developed with the superintendent and the leadership of the school district, will be identical as to what the needs of the system are. The problem is lack of leadership. You cannot go 3 years without a sitting superintendent and to have that revolving door and lack of stability. So I look at this as an opportunity for the receiver to come in and evaluate the school system and make some necessary changes. Now, I've heard that members of this union were present that may have advocated to make some changes in leadership. And I hope they embrace the changes that will be needed, because that receiver will have power to make some changes within collective bargaining agreements. And whatever those changes are going to be for the betterment of our students. To walk into a system in July to see no ELL director, high sped, and all those issues that I heard about last night were disturbing. like I said to the associate commissioners when they were here several months ago, that it would be very easy for a school committee member to say to the superintendent and to the business manager and to the sped director, I want this done, and this done. Because I know as a school committee of what we've worked with in this last 6 months that I've been here, we've worked very well together to develop a plan on how to move forward. I very simply could have said with my colleagues here, I want you to take that Cole Ave, I want you to develop a special ed program in there, I want you to transition students that can't behave in the school district and put them in that Cole Ave and do it tomorrow. But we don't have that authority. We could have said, superintendent, English language learners, I want a director, I want it tomorrow, but we couldn't do that because that's not our purview. We are supposed to listen to the educational experts. So the commissioner now will hire a receiver that will come into the district. It may be an individual or a group. And he will ask for stakeholders to get forward and come forward and talk and ask what direction the school district wants to go forward in. That's all well and good, but this is the challenge that I give to the community. You need to participate. You need to come forward, and you need to be part of the solution. Also, the challenge is going to be on the town council because we will have to balance budgets to make sure that whatever monies are needed for special education and those changes are met with the school district. The state's not going to come with a bag full of money. They're going to come with some programs, and they may have some solutions, but it's going to take all of us to work together for the betterment of all children in this district. I look forward to working with the receiver, but I truly hope, and as I've said to the Commissioner's office before, that you truly wish to listen to us. Because you may not agree with us politically, but there are many of us on this board and in the community that do have some good ideas of thoughts of what we could implement. So, again, this is still going to be a long journey. This will not be solved in 6 months, a year, or even 5 years. But we need to all work together for the betterment of Southbridge. And I will work with the receiver throughout the rest of my term, the last 6 months that I have, to help develop that turnaround plan and to make this a better community for all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussion by any other members? Any further comments? If not, moving on to executive session. We do not have executive session tonight. Moving on to adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
The motion is second. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much for watching.